Good morning, everybody. It's about 5 more minutes before we get started. Got a good one today. Grab your coffee, sharpen those pencils, have plenty of pens. Let's go! Yes. morning, good morning. Welcome in, everybody. Just waiting for everybody to get here. Drinking some coffee to my favorite soundtrack. All right, let's go. Everybody awake like I am? Who's an early riser? 5 a.m. is the best time. 2 a.m. is pretty good too. All right. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Let's go. Waiting for my best part here. Wait for it. This part's pretty good too. Well, we made it through another week. It's week 3, halfway there. Getting ready for another great week starting tomorrow. As we say, it never ends, and we don't want it to. Oh yeah, here we go. Break it down. I hit almost all the way down. All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. Here we are with more music. This music just loves play and play and play and play and play. Let's see if I can get it now. This is going to be all show long. All right. Let me get to my favorite part after all. Okay. Enough of all that fun stuff. Just waiting for everyone to come in. Welcome wherever you are in the world. We've got people here all over the States and worldwide, and many of you will be catching this on replay, so make sure you have your workbooks ready, and we're ready to get into it again. But first, I wanted to say what a great thing it is to be able to have a call with each of you every week for 30 minutes and just review all the stuff we've gone over. And it's a lot, and I know this the point of this whole series is to just go through many things, get momentum, get some energy, revitalize, get on task, further our missions, expand everything about our pastry chef world, a little bit about ourselves, or a lot about ourselves. What you're seeing is our brand and ourselves, especially for a chef, is almost the same thing. At least the public part, the saleable part, the part that you're broadcasting to everybody. So for that, I thank you. And it's so exciting to see people buying equipment, furthering everything that they wanted to do with a specific project, but we're just sort of waiting on, selecting packaging, changing up their social media, which we'll get into a lot today, and just overall reinvigorating and just working on themselves to just be the best them that they can be, and without fear move forward and pivot when necessary. But pretty soon your pivot is just your why in action. So to all of you, I want to compliment you for putting your why into action and being really open to all the things we talk about, and to expanding. I mean, we've talked about our why. We talked about smashing through boundaries, smashing all the way through those boundaries. Boom, right? They're gone. Those things are just in our minds. There are only limitations until someone surpasses them, and then it's like first person ever to do that, and then many people follow. So whatever it is you want to do, believe me, you can do it. Yeah, it's work, right? It's a lot of work. every day, but you're going to work at something or for someone. So it better be something that you can be passionate about when you wake up in the morning. Surround yourself with individuals you like to work with and have a mission that is great for you. And again, if that changes, you change, you update. If it doesn't work, you try something else. But the further and further we go through those concentric circles of our trajectory, the better choices we're able to make and adapt to all those things that are goals for us over time. So, again, congratulations to everything. Let's look at today's session 3. So, platforms, we talked about briefly platforms, and at the end of session 2, just so the idea of a platform where producers and consumers kind of interact around this thing we call a platform. And this platform is perfect for chefs and food-based businesses. And we're going to look at social media as ways to broadcast that. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, kind of examine that a little bit. And there's many more, as you'll see, and we want to support our future with that, not just report on right now. We'll talk about possibilities and tell a story of what's to come and get some anticipation. Also, image is everything. We start talking about creating photos and creating videos to support those stories, to tell those stories and assist in telling those stories, and creating lasting images, and a little bit of the technical stuff we'll get into. For the most part today, the chat I won't be able to attend to. Will be a lot of screen sharing, so at the end we'll keep chat open if you have technical questions, and of course on our call this week. And then every chef is a universe. Defining your universe, we've already defined a lot of it, but defining it in terms of those stories and how we build that whole idea of what we're about on those platforms. And then, of course, a big take home this week, getting ready for our mini campaign. It's a 3-day campaign we're going to launch next week or after next week, including a little bit of video and a little bit of photo, some of the stories we're working on, and, updating all our platforms, which we'll talk about today. So if we get into the workbook, platform creation, we see our image from last week, the producers consumers platform. And if we kind of open that up a little bit to what producers you're creating, connect with others, and that's where the social platforms come in. And then, there's other channels, then the consumer, and you get some compensation hopefully back from that. And that compensation can be awareness, likes, money, all those things, trade. And the core transaction exists somewhere in the middle, as we can see. So connection, how easily we can connect to share, to interact, to transact. Also, we use a website. Simple is the trend for websites right now. And then also social media we talked about a little bit. And then store, what's your immediate path to monetization? Store is one way. There's some affiliate marketing and other ways. But how do we get all those efforts to compensate us so we can do it some more? Gravity, we'll call gravity attraction, how well people are gravitated to our brand, how clients and customers get loyalty, and how that engagement through storytelling, making bold statements about our brand, perhaps an irresistible offer, something that really engages people and that gravity starts to work in your favor. And then marketing via a campaign, like we will continue to talk about. So throughout, think about what that campaign might be. We're going to spend about 5 minutes later just kind of brainstorming, getting all those things out about our campaign. And then at the end, we'll have a chart and we'll work on what that campaign is. So that can really help with your gravity. And then flow, how well the platform operates for that exchange point. So is it easy to use for people who produce? Is it easy to use for the consumers? And how sustainable is it? One thing we want to keep in mind with some of the social media channels is you don't own the channel, right? That's its own platform. So as a result, if Instagram goes away, all our posts on Instagram goes away, which would be bad. We think that might not happen, We have to remember a time when there was no Instagram, and frequently these things change, as we can see. I'm going to cut to what's a recent view of the social media landscape. And in that view, you can see Facebook currently dominates, and there's a lot of users, 2.5 million users, all right, monthly, that is. So when you post to Facebook, you have lots of potential tell stories there. Of course, there's a different type of story that you're going to tell. YouTube and WhatsApp, see, it's kind of gaining popularity. For all of our friends and clients in other parts of the world, WhatsApp seems to be one of the most popular apps. So that's interesting. Messenger, WeChat, there's some on here we might not recognize. Instagram has kind of dropped a little bit down to where TikTok, you see Reddit, and then way down here Snapchat also losing momentum, Twitter, and Pinterest. So those things go up and down all the time, and we want to think about why those would be. But when Snapchat enters the game, they were doing something different. As soon as someone catches on, then, like in most industries, people copy. But then if you look at the business side of it, the picture for business, it's a little bit different. So for business, LinkedIn is number one, right? LinkedIn is number one. Let's drink some coffee to LinkedIn, because for years, and we've talked about this a little bit of our calls, I disregarded LinkedIn as it seemed kind of boring, right? And very professional, and a lot of recruiters would reach out to me, and I didn't really realize the full potential of LinkedIn until about 2 years ago. And I would say I get more business contacts that convert to sales from LinkedIn than almost anywhere else. I get interest from other places and get engagement from other places, but LinkedIn can be a powerful tool. We'll look into that a little bit further. Twitter under LinkedIn for business to business. So you saw how low it was in the overall. Then Facebook, YouTube, Google Plus, overlook that as an option. And we can simply share some of the stories we're sharing elsewhere on some of the other platforms. A lot of people, for me as well, Twitter is just a runoff for our Instagram. But there may be some different uses of Twitter as a conversation that we can get into for this B2B content marketing. And then SlideShare, don't use that. Look at it. Instagram and Pinterest, of all places, 25%. When we look at what everything is good for, we've got some different and fun ways to look at it. So social media channels explained by thepixel.com. If you get a chance, check out The Pixel. Very cool site. This one's, I thought, was amusing, and it has donuts, which I love donuts. And if you look at it, kind of how we tell stories on different platforms, different channels, if you will. Facebook, hey, I like donuts, telling a story about how you feel about something, what it is, just straight storytelling. On Instagram, here's a photo of my donut. So it's just us winning. It's a beautiful donut. Look at my donut. So great. You look at my donut. You like my donut. Come follow me, finding some more stuff that's beautiful like my donut. Also, Twitter, what's going on, telling a story. I'm eating a donut right now. What are you eating? It's a good way to engage. LinkedIn, my skills include donut eating. I can also make donuts. I can, if you pay me, teach you how to make the best donuts. There's some good engagement there on a professional level. Come check out my consulting business. There is Pinterest. Here's a donut recipe. You can kind of have a gallery. It's very different. And then Google Plus, and this is pretty funny. It says, I'm a Google employee who eats donuts. I guess their view of Google Plus is very much interior, but let's take a look. I'm going to switch to the screens and take a look at each of these platforms. So I'm going to show you the public view of my LinkedIn. So here, if you go to edit public profile and URL, even if you're logged in, then you'll be able to see this view. So photo, I would recommend a photo that's a person, not like a dessert, although some people do that. But I think you'll see you want some consistency across the board. You want to see some consistency between all the channels. In here, this is probably the most important one, the why. Here I assist the transformation of pastry chefs and sweet businesses one project at a time. And I'm able to complete projects where there's a limited amount of time, experience, and other resources, etc. So this why that you've been working on is a perfect place to put this. And when we have a title, it doesn't show in this view so much. If you go down, let's see if I can pull that up. Or I can change my photo here. We'll work on that later. Basically, the title could be your future title. So it could say, you know, if you're currently working as an executive pastry chef, you may change that to say corporate director of pastry, because those are the jobs that you're really trying to locate. Let's see if I can pull up my actual personal one here. And then your about, it's important, making sure you connect back to the public profile. And here, you know, where you're working, a nice photo. A lot of individuals still have the little connected kind of, I don't know what that is, like connections and dots that comes with LinkedIn, so they're not really using it. There's some about, it shows what you follow. If you're get active with this, that might be interesting. People say, oh, I like that, and you can build your network. And then, you know, here's some experience all the way back, education, you know, flesh out your honors and awards. There's probably many things that we've done that we would like to share, don't fit on our resume, but can fit here. And I know a lot of times people are sending me their resume, but also their LinkedIn profile, which is an interesting trend. And in here, you can kind of select what you want to show or don't want to show, like the articles and activity if I don't want to share that. And so we can kind of use that to network with. If we look at my Instagram, here you see same photo and then nice graphics, something really approachable. And if you notice, I have pastry chef, chocolate hero, content creator, James Beard finalist, some notable stuff. And the last thing I have is the pastry consultant, making the world sweeter, one business at a time or one project at a time. And, you know, feel free to change this on a regular basis and tweak and change little by little to get it to where you want it to be. Haven't posted heavily. I found lately my followers, I was over 2,000. It's dropping, but my engagement per post is actually going up. So the important thing to me is engagement. I'm doing well. I don't need, would love to have 50,000 followers, but I don't need 50,000 followers to run my business. I just need engaged followers that spread the word, help me share the story, and keep me connected to other like-minded individuals. And that's the goal. So engagement, much more important than likes and numbers. Stories, very important. I'm in the process of redoing my stories, just how to share my more consulting business. But I don't want to be overly businessy here. Just want to keep people interested and want them to learn more. And then here is a powerful, can connect to your website, can connect to your most current news story, can drive traffic, you know, and you see all the time in posts. Link in the bio. Here's my Twitter, same photo, consistency, similar, same here, just to create consistency. And then all the tweets and some of my recent activity. You see, I joined way back in April 2009. And so this is what I'm going to try something new with Twitter and start some conversations. Right now, this is sort of just a runoff. But what ends up happening, and you'll see, is it's a lot to maintain 4, 5, 6 different channels and platforms to support you. It's going to be a lot. So take on what you can. Instagram is easy, visual, fun. It's a great way to get started. Everyone's on Facebook. But with Facebook, and I have a few Facebook pages, and it's something I'm sorting through now. This is my professional page. And again, same photo, kind of a little difference with the dessert, same descriptor, pastry chef, chocolate shiro, etc. The reason I put consultant at the bottom is I don't really want to overly sell. I really want to just make connections. You kind of want to think of it like being at a party. When you go to the party and you walk up to people, you don't say, "Hi, my name is Jimmy. I'm a consultant. Can I have a job with you?" And that sounds funny, but a lot of times that's what we do in emails and on social platforms. And we scare people off. And we get a lot of those things too, right? It seems spammy, seems trolly, or directly is trolly. If I post something on Instagram and they're like, "I love your hat, be an ambassador, buy something at half off." This is a terrible strategy. Doesn't work on me. Maybe work on somebody, but I've never once bought something because, you know, someone jumped in on my social media, gave me a compliment, and wanted to make me a ambassador that I had to buy product for. Right? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So in here, we look at Pinterest. Same thing, photo. That, and it may seem monotonous, but you have to remember others don't know you as well as you do. And even the biggest companies that I've worked for and work with, we internally know all our stories and our message, and for whatever reason we get really shy to every day say, "Oh my god, did you hear about the Pastry Chef Expansion Challenge? It's super, super cool." The next day, "Oh my god, did you hear about the Pastry Chef Expansion Channel? It's really, really, really cool. You got to see what we're doing." And to find different ways to share it. Internally, you get tired. You'd say, "I know that. I don't want to bug people." But if you look at the attention span of people being so short and being able to reach out to people on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, you get the idea, on Pinterest, and then YouTube, which is a little different platform. Though we know that people really don't get tired, and you can change it up. I wouldn't say posting the same sentence over and over and over is ideal, but definitely driving traffic to your website. I'm going to show you before we get into YouTube. So my website, it's 4 or 5 pages. I think could be even more simple. And basically it's just a funnel to collect inquiries for the things I really want to do, which is drive traffic to my business. And if you look here at YouTube, let's talk about YouTube separately. We're going to do some videos. I'm going to decide where to post your videos for your platform. Everybody with me say yes. All right, it's a lot, but we're getting into the good stuff. We'll drink some coffee. I saw from our Facebook group that drinking coffee is the number 2 pastime for pastry chefs after making pastries, of course. All right, so here we go. YouTube. We talked about your content going away if Instagram ever goes away, but here you own all of this in YouTube. And even if YouTube went down, all these videos I have, and if you look through, if you haven't already subscribed, we'll have more videos upcoming. These are the challenge videos that you guys have links to, and then you can see some of the CRPC videos, with various amounts of views, 30,000 down here, 33,000. So these still live on. People watch them all the time, even though some of those are more or less recent and more or less active. So it's a really, really good thing for us to consider. And YouTube, if you started your channel, great, we can post to it. If you have any issues with that, let me know, and we can kind of figure out a good way to customize this. But again, beautiful photo. This is a different photo here. I'm kind of broke away a little bit from the norm, but what we have here on YouTube is sort of approaching differently. And this was from JM Pure Pastry. I'm kind of converting into like a broader base. So stay tuned. More on that to come. So let's talk about creating images and creating videos and kind of start it to broadcast the story once we get a story. We need the channel first. We need the means to get those things put together. And one thing I wanted to mention with the social media is getting a calendar. So if you look in your packet on page 4, we're just stating that using a social calendar to plan is good. You can go online and find something, you can make your own, but just something to keep you on track. Different times work for different people. If you look online, it can be fairly confusing where everyone will say different things. 10 a.m. is the best time to post. It's a good time to post, but you can look at your analytics. I think we won't get into yet, but analytics is the benefit of all of these channels to not just check likes performance, but see how many people came to our website, see how many people visited, even if they didn't like something. And if you look and you have, let's say, 1,000 or more followers, and you're only getting 20 likes, engagement's really low because when it comes up on the feed, let's take Instagram for example. When you're on Instagram and you post, if that post doesn't perform well in engagement, and really comments are worth more than likes in the eyes of Instagram. So if you don't get engagement in the first few minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes, you won't get exposed to that next group of your followers. So really you're looking at a small subset, and each platform has sort of ins and outs like that. So if you're getting 10 likes and you have 1,000 followers, your engagement's actually pretty low, or people aren't exposed. So again, sending that message another way, frequently, every day posting at the same time. So over time, people will be used to seeing them on your feed, and you'll get more and more exposure is important. So image is everything. This is a beautiful image from a few years back. Anthony Tallier, photographer here in Chicago. And I will say, and obviously I love this photo. It's been the Pastry Chef Expansion Challenge photo. It's been published a number of times, but really it first came out in 2008 and got a little press run. We were opening avenues with Curtis Duffy, and it ran its course. And then I, demoed it a few times in classes, and that was it. But it continues to be viable, and that's something that I want you to think about, is how to create these images that are actually timeless. We have the hashtag up here since we're doing social media, and what creates a lasting image. You need a couple things. What's the recipe for that? You need a compelling subject, the ability to capture. So a camera, a cell phone, it's really all we need. A camera, we need a DSLR, or like a higher quality camera, as we'll talk about images in a hot second here. Some basic editing tools. There are a few. I recommended Hit Film Express. You'll see the link again at the bottom today. Try to download that. If that's not going to work on your system, definitely let's find something that will work. And you can just do it on your phone. It's not critical. What's more important is getting the story told and having it be of a quality that you find acceptable. And remember, audio is super important. The video image is important, but it's secondary, and storytelling is the most important. So if you can create something with a basic editing tool on your phone, you're going to get some wins. And then, some basic editing tools could be enhanced with a graphics pack, or some, lower thirds, which is when someone's name comes up at the bottom. So again, can't stress enough, having a high quality image, put the effort in, it could last a long time. Save all those videos, you can put it in a reel. You throw something up on YouTube, it's going to have actually a long life. So we're going to look at how to evaluate some of these images. So, all right, pay attention to this. It's a little bit technical, and a lot of it we kind of understand, but there'll probably be a couple things in here that'll make more sense. So high resolution photos explained. You can see the two images here of the peas in the pod. We've got an image here on the left that's decidedly low res, and then a high resolution here photo on the right. So we know high res photos look better than low res. That's not a big um, revelation. But if you look at what makes those, so here are JPEGs of high quality EPS TIFF formats. These are all just different compression, and it's worthwhile to kind of consider what compression is. So if you know these things, that's great. It's a good review. If you don't, compression basically, we're taking something that's bigger and a lot of information. Basically, all these formats are pixelated information on color, shape, information on the depth of field, information that the camera took in for video or film. So right now we're just talking about photos. So if you can imagine, that is thousands and thousands of pixels in a high quality photo. Now animate that into video, you can imagine how much information that takes. So one thing that will support all this is getting a hard drive, something, external hard drive you can get as big as possible. I would recommend at least a terabyte, because you will fill it up, especially if you get into video, or 2 terabytes or 3. And that's something you can carry from your laptop to your computer. Sometimes you can hook it up to your camera and just download those things right away from your memory card. For photos, if you look at DPI, so dots per inch, that's the single most important thing when evaluating a photo you already have or about to take, if it'll be something that you can use. And you really want to stick with all high-res images. Now you can take a high-res image, all that information we just talked about, and make that a lower res image for web, but you really can't go the other way. So we always want to start with the best quality image in the capture, and then go from there and kind of what we call down res, and take that image. And that practice is actually that down res, low resolution, or what would be high definition, which is like the term for low res now. It used to be the benchmark high res. Now high res is really the baseline. The DPI for a low res that you see on the web is 70. So that's 70 dots per inch. On the high res, the minimum and average would be 300 DPI. So if 300 dots per inch, those pixels, that's 900 pixels per inch versus, literally less than half of that at a low res. So if we're coming down here, and this is again from Longwoods Publishing, but really common information in the industry, the 6 by 900 pixels, the size of that file is 175 kilobytes. At the high res, it's 800 kilobytes. When you right click on a photo, you can see on let's see, let's grab a photo here on the screen, something good. And you right click on that file, you go to properties, and in those properties, we have a lot of information about that photo. So this is a 128 kilobyte version of this Carrot. It's called Carrot High Res. I have TIFF files from this that are much more high res, that are in the megabytes. So if you want a high res image, you want to get into the megabytes, and you probably want a higher quality JPEG or a TIFF here, or EPS, which is a vector graphic. And vector graphics you can publish anywhere, and as you get to, you can take them all the way to billboard size, they don't degrade. Color space is another interesting aspect of capture. So if we're going to capture at a high resolution but don't need it, you may think, you don't need it for web, let's say, you may think I can just shoot lower quality, but that higher quality image after you bring it down to the size that will work for web. You can use that through most video and film editing programs. You can drop it down and kind of down res it. And hopefully this is making some sense just to get to that crisp, clear quality that you want to see. For video, let me switch over here to a nice explanation on the video side. So 8K we don't need to mess with. We all know 4K is the flavor right now. At one point that was 4K was introduced and no one had a 4K TV, but that's like everything. 8K is being introduced, but not a lot of people and companies producing 8K video for consumption yet. And here is that high definition that we talked about, 720, basically 1280 by 720 is the overall dimension. We often go by this vertical dimension. So if someone says 720p, this is just high def. You can see some YouTube videos in 720p, but they are a little bit blurry. 1080 is still the standard, and if people are watching your videos on a phone, that's plenty big, plenty of space, and looks good. Full HD, that's all included. And then we have this widescreen. We just notice that the vertical pixels are increased, but that's going to cut off on some people's monitors. And then ultra high def is 4K. So 4K 3840 by 2160. That's really important. That's sort of where we want to record everything now in this 4K space. And then again, we can down res it to the 1080 space. So hopefully that made some sense. Basically, it's just an overview, but it's important. So higher quality pictures, important. Definitely work at least in the 300 DPI for publishing or higher. Stay away from images that are 70 DPI that you have from the web. If you download photos from the web, they're going to be generally at 70 DPI, which is good because when you load up a page and it takes too much time to download, is typically because those are too high definition, too many dots per inch for whatever machine you're viewing on. So you may want to have those high quality photos down res just for your video. So I've said before, I really like this. Every chef is a universe. Our platform is our universe, and it's good to think about expanding. The universe is constantly expanding. In this challenge, we're expanding. So I'm going to define our universe in order to tell our compelling stories, right? So we're going to define our universe to tell our compelling stories. So right now, we're going to do our first live workbook activity. I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'll set the timer. We're going to cue up some music. All right. This is my favorite part now. All right, so 5 minutes. List as many words that describe your universe. So people, product, ingredients, things that interact on your platform, things you're working on. And start now. 5 minutes. What's a part of your universe? What's that product you made yesterday that you can't wait to sell? Can't wait to share? What story are you excited to share with people? What's the story that made you want to be a pastry chef in the first place? People want to know. Write it down. What's a problem you're solving through your service or product that you want to let people know about? How you're making their life easier, better, more enjoyable. Write it down. Three more minutes. You're making those lists. What's an exciting tool you use every day that you can partner and collaborate with another company and tell that story of that collaboration? Write it down. All right, just a couple more minutes. All right, I'll give you a couple seconds to wrap it up. Any Steven Universe fans out there? Thank you, Cartoon Network. All right. So hopefully you made some good lists. What we're really going to do is convert those into some great stories and be able to tell yours. So some things that great stories are, and if you look at your list, you can start to write sentences and stories and just briefs, get that idea out. In the morning when you do your 5 minutes of visualization, and hopefully everybody's doing that 5 minutes. In the morning when you do your 5 minutes of visualization, after that's a great time to write. If you think about right after that visualization, you're open, you can pull out a blank piece of paper, or you can pull out your notes here and start write those stories that are, we can look at the list here, things that are relatable. What's something that I'm going to read and say, oh yeah, that's how I feel, 100%. Oh yeah, I love coffee, you love coffee. It's okay to relate to people on the level that they're at and then share more information. It's an opportunity. Things that are believable. Oh wow, okay, that's interesting. I didn't think about it that way, but that gives me a belief that you can do it, I can do it. Evocative, emotive, inclusive. Look at this list, is great. Thank you, LinkedIn, for this list. Useful, important, inspirational, of course. You want to inspire other people. For me, it is exciting, and the Pastry Chef Expansion Challenge is an example. It's inspiring to me to try to give some knowledge or spark momentum or make a improvement in anybody's universe and contribute in any way. It makes you feel good. And things that are contagious like that, they make really, really good stories. So if we'll look back on our screen here for the homework and what we're going to do here, let me take myself out of it so you can see this clearly. So the homework, session 4, create the mini campaign. All right, so based on the things that we just talked about, based on story that we want to share, the platforms we want to share to, we're going to create a 3-day mini campaign to attract followers, right? Get that gravity going, increase awareness for your brand or your project or a specific part of your brand that you're working on or things that you're selling or services you're providing. A call to action, what activity do we want our followers, our consumers, our clients to do right after they follow the story? And here's the campaign calendar. This is really, really, really simple. And it can be as simple like life. This can be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it. Pastry chefs, we're good at making things complicated, and we're good at making complicated things. Does anyone relate? Sometimes I feel myself and my staff are better at complicated things that require a lot of attention, lots of detail, and a skill set that others don't have. And we're really good at those things. And we execute those things on a daily basis. And then other things, they're really simple, probably anyone can do, we fail at all the time. I don't know, probably lots of reasons we don't focus on it, we don't give it the attention it needs. But for whatever reason, we're more interested in those cool things, those involved things. There's more pride, and we tend to overlook the simple. I'd encourage you to flip that model a bit, especially in this campaign or when speaking to others about what you know. So, again, we know our story, our message, where our business is strong, where it's weak, and we try to protect that too much. But if we simplify it, we can really just be more transparent, share the story, see the response, react to the response, try different channels and platforms. So in here, we're going to write the focus. So the focus could be bringing awareness to my brand. Or the focus could be launching my new store and letting everybody know about it. The focus could be anything that you're working on right now, and it's 3 days. It could be longer. It's up to you. This could be Thursday, Friday, Saturday of the following week. So we'll fill this out. I would say let's spend some of our time on the phone this week talking about this campaign and write in those stories that we've been brainstorming, and you can kind of go back later, fill this out after. I'm going to leave chat open for a little bit if you have any quick questions. And every day we want to post to 2 different channels. Okay. I want you to try to make some video on your phone. If you have a camera that does video, can make it there. And, hold on to those and just save it. And we're going to repost those later. We didn't talk a lot about actual stories on Instagram and stories on Facebook, but that video we make, we can easily share it on 2 different channels, the same video, and do a post. So here is just 2. It could easily be a static post as well. So over day 1, 2, 3, we're going to plan the same focus, same story, but different ways of telling that story to bring awareness to your brand, a project, or something that you're passionate about. And then at the end of it all, we want a call to action. And that call to action is, again, what do we want? Do we want likes, engagement, visit to the store, make a sale, get a client, have a conversation? A lot of this is sort of like being at the party we talked about earlier, but let's look at that again in terms of social, like how do we do that? So for LinkedIn, and this happened this morning as a matter of fact, a local client that I wish I had, I don't have right now, and one of my business contacts had reached out to them, was declined to work with them, and they own a lot of upscale convenience stores in the area, and there's even one in my neighborhood, and it's really cool. It's like a 7-Eleven, like a bougie 7-Eleven with nice wine and a small frozen section, local coffee, some donuts, and they have someone curating, must be someone talented curating all those offerings, because it's very cool and it changes, and they've just started a new marketing push, and I think given all the changes, they were queued up. They didn't really need to pivot much because they were queued up. And initially, some of the areas they had stores were slow moving because it's a little bit of an expense. It's 7-Eleven, at least in the United States, is down here. And then the offerings that they're doing here at Foxtrot are top notch. And when I opened up my LinkedIn this morning, I saw that actually someone I worked with at the grocery stores, who was one of our team, which are all restaurant and hotel people brought into grocery. So again, a beautiful person, lots of food service intellect, trying to make grocery better. And he didn't last very long. It was a tough environment. 4 weeks he was gone. But I've come to find out just from LinkedIn saying, hey, you might want to know this person, that he's actually the food and beverage director for this chain. So this chain that I had been thinking about, how do I reach out to them? My friend reached out to him, wasn't very successful. Well, there he is. working at this chain, um, and I message him. Now, I don't want to message him. Oh, hey, it's so awesome you're working at this place. I've been trying to get a hold of everybody. Get me an in. That's just not really my style, nor do I think is effective. But reaching out and saying, hey, good morning. I noticed you ended up in a good place. How have you been through all this, uh, craziness and different year? And he messaged back. So you want to do on your direct message on Instagram like that, notice something that you saw in a post that you are genuinely enthusiastic about. Again, our brands and what I'm promoting for you guys and for myself is authenticity and sharing. I mean, you guys are all at high level chefs in various levels of business, have had so many mentored experiences. Now you're the mentors. You've had so many business experiences. Now you're super experienced, even though yes, we all have things to learn, and every day I want to learn. It's the most important thing to me. But here you have that knowledge. You're going to look at some posts and say, "Wow, that's I agree with that." Again, look at our list. Well, that was inspirational, and I'm going to message that account or person. Hey, I love what you post. That was inspirational. I feel the same way, or I've been through the same thing, or this is what worked for me. But I think what you said was great insight, and I'm going to try that and watch the response. So to put some, to keep yourself honest and keep activities on track, what I'd recommend is something that I do is create a spreadsheet, and in that spreadsheet write down these customers that you have, these customers that you want to have, these clients, these or magazines or businesses you want to apply to work for, all these different groups that you want to have connection with. And some maybe at the top you already have connection with. Put top 10 places that you wish you had contact with, that you want to work with. And as you reach out to them, write, it was on Facebook, it was on LinkedIn, was it a DM, and put the date in the column, and reach out every day to 5 businesses on any channel, on any platform. Just reach out to them and see the response, have a genuine response exchange, and wait, and then cycle through that list. And a week later, reach out again when the time is right. You see another good post, something that you think of that appeals to them, and give that process. There's a little bit of instinct involved, but give that process a couple weeks, maybe a month, maybe longer, depending on the response. And just like we said, going to the party, you start to see someone at, let's say it's pastry events. And I've probably met almost all of you at one event or one class or something at one point or another. And over time, you see someone at the same place. You feel like you have a common ground, start to have some conversation, you start to develop a relationship. And then you can say, hey, I'd like to get on a call and further the relationship and say, hey, I have something I wanted to talk to you about, and really make it natural and worth their while to do those things. I think if you do some of that, you'll find that's highly, highly effective in terms of getting those leads to kind of become business reality for you. I'm gonna look back here at the bottom. We have a few minutes, so for the homework, again, campaign calendar, and then updating our platforms. So get ready for your launch. You're going to go into all of the channels that you have, all those platforms, the Instagrams and whatnot, and make sure you feel comfortable. LinkedIn, put your why in there. Make sure that when you do this campaign, you're going to have eyes on all those things, that you're almost reintroducing yourself to your existing followers and trying to grow some followers. And really, the exercise is launching these mini campaigns, and you can do one every single week, right? It doesn't have to just be fluff. Right now, my campaign is noting I have a lot of new followers over the past couple years. My campaign is reintroducing them to me in terms of my past work. And like we said, image is everything. And if we have good images, we can share them again and again with different perspective, with different people. And, whether I posted it before or not, it's not important to me. If you follow and analyze Instagram enough, you'll see very big companies sometimes posting some of the same images from their hard drive. and many people haven't seen your images. So unless you're getting 50,000 to a million people viewing that, there's still a lot of your story that you shared with, sure, the group of pastry chefs that may have seen it. You might be in one of the pastry magazines, and the 500 of us that all watch all those things in our underground see all those things, and a little bit of the public. But just to reiterate, you can share and share and share something authentic, of high quality, that you believe in, and continue to receive dividends. So refresh all your social platforms, record some video of some of the things you're doing for the week, set up a camera, something you're making, make a video selfie just saying, hey everybody, just wanted to reach out, I don't do a lot of this my video, or if you do a lot, share something you're working on. If you can, challenge you to go live somewhere. Just go live. It's exhilarating. Like I said, just personally, going live is scary. I like to have that pastry chef control, but at the same time, the ability to create something and post it, really, as viewers, we're really responsive to that. Like, we feel like we're experiencing something live. It's different. Like, this is great on replay. I think it's better live. It's good to know that we're here together live, thinking about the same things, and becoming thought leaders on those things, and moving and working together. So content is good on any level, but live contact is different and special. And then if you can, again, download HitFilm Express. I've got here's the screen that you're going to see when you go. So just real quick, when you go to HitFilm, if that's what you choose to download, or you can use your existing editor, but if you choose to download HitFilm Express, the first thing it's going to do is ask you, if you want to add some stuff on. So decide if you want to. If you just want the free version, disregard the emoji, they'll be okay, and then you can download it from here. In that case, you can download HitFilm and be ready. Once you do, you'll have to set up an account. You got to make sure that your system can run on those things. So if you have any technical questions, definitely reach out to me. No problem. We can help navigate that, or find an editor. You do need, probably, if you have a desktop or laptop, a little bit of memory to be able to render those images. So, in other words, we can take those videos we make and turn them into something that's watchable later. It does take a little bit of memory and activity. So if your system can't handle it, it chokes on that, as we say, we can find something that works. All right, so we're coming up on an hour. Thank you so much for bearing with me through this. I know it's a lot of information. We are always here for you guys, excited to share all the information that we have, everything that we know. I know this is sort of like a crash course, but I think over time, you'll see that it pays off. That music means it's time for me to go. But again, have a great week. Excellent work. We made it halfway, just 2 more sessions left. So excited. I'll leave that chat open. Let's take it out of here. Have a great Sunday, everybody.